What does it mean to get the backstory? It means asking the hard questions and getting to the heart of what matters about your mental, spiritual, financial, and physical well being. In my quest to find wholeness, wellness, and end the 40 years of obesity that ravaged my body, I found that it was my own stories that were keeping me trapped in processed food addiction. Once I started asking the right questions, those same stories led to brand new consciousness, mindfulness, and agency. Each month on Get the Backstory Live, we take on the tough questions so you can find the healing, hope, and transformation hidden in your story.
Well, hello and welcome to Get the Backstory Live. It is July the 18th, 2023, and I am so excited that you are joining me tonight. And you're not just joining me, you're joining me and my Sisters of the Third here in Columbia, Maryland. The Third.org, a woman co-working space, has allowed us to broadcast live from this space. So let's clap it up for the third a little bit. You will be seeing them on the audio. You will be seeing them on the screen very shortly, along with the wonderful guests that we have assembled for you tonight. Tonight, the conversation is about self-care. And not just self-care, but about self-care and stress, about self-care, stress, and success, about self-care, stress, and life in the spotlight, and where all of that intersects. I cannot wait. Just cannot wait till you start to hear and get a chance to hear what my wonderful panel of women have to say about how we can start caring for ourselves in a different way and loving ourselves in a more meaningful way. So with all that said, welcome to the Backstory Live. We're going to jump right into this conversation because we got a bunch of juicy stuff to talk about tonight. And let's see the panel. Let's see my sisters. Let's see my sisters. Let's bring them on screen. All right, I think I have everybody. I think I have everybody, and my audience. Where's my audience? Well, I guess we'll see the audience in a little while. So first of all, I'm just going to go across the top of the screen and introduce everybody. But first of all, I need to put my glasses on because it's that time. It's that season. So first, I would love to introduce DeBora Ricks. And DeBora, and I'm just delighted that she's on the show because we go back ways. So anytime I can support a relationship that has some history, I'm happy to do that. But a little bit about DeBora. DeBora Ricks is committed to helping Black women heal all that hurts as she supports them in learning how to love themselves fiercely and unapologetically. She is the proud and grateful host of Sisters Gathering to Heal, the podcast. She is also known as the self-love doula, right? Mother, she's a mother, beautiful daughter, expat living in across the country. I don't know if I want to tell everybody where you live because I want to save that space for me. She's a global an editor, attorney, author, an herbal tea lover, a stand-up comedian, connoisseur, and the founder of Sisters Gathering the Heal, the movement. Welcome, DeBora. So happy you're in this space tonight. And then Marita Golden. So I want to let you all know that Marita is the reason that we are here tonight. Marita, we're here tonight. She has this book is going to guide the conversation. I cannot wait till we jump into this and explore it some more. It is the new Black woman. The new Black woman loves herself, has boundaries, and heals every day. So I want to read just a little for you about Marita. Is the award-winning author of over 20 works of fiction and nonfiction, which include her classic memoir, Migrations of the Heart, the novel, The Wide Circumference of Love. Her most recent book is, I just showed you a picture, The New Black Woman Loves Herself, Has Boundaries, and Heals Every Day. She has taught creative writing at major universities, including George Mason University, Virginia Commonwealth University, Johns Hopkins, as well as the University of the District of Columbia. She is the co-founder of the Zora Neale Hurston Richard Wright Foundation and serves as president emeritus. She has appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show and has been a question on Jeopardy. So we now all know somebody that has been a question on Jeopardy. Marita, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank
tonight.
you, Michelle. I'm glad to be
Thank
here.
you so much for this brilliant work. Next, we have Dr. Wanda Dyson. And before I read to you about Dr. Dyson, I want to give her a shameless plug. And the shameless plug that I'm giving to her is that she is my doctor. She is the doctor that said to me, stress will kill you.
Mm.
She is the one that made me see and understand that. And that's why I felt it was so important for her to be a part of this conversation, because we've got stress and self-care that are two sides of the same coin that's existing in our bodies. So Dr. Wanda Dyson has built her practice around helping patients maximize their health and wellness while also feeling great about their appearance. At Change for Life Wellness and Aesthetics, patients turn to Dr. Dyson's for a wide range of services, including Botox, Juvederm, lipolaser, microneedling, and body contouring. So, Dr. Dyson, we'll be talking after the show. Right, that's what we'll be doing. All right. I also want to welcome Princess Akeema Bichali. And I'm excited that she agreed to be a part of this conversation, because I want to just share with you that part of doing this conversation online and part of bringing it live was important. And it was important doing it in this space particularly. And the space that I'm broadcasting from, like I said earlier, is the third, a Women of Color co-working space in Columbia. And Princess Akeema is one of the members of this space. And this space houses a number of women that are carving out businesses for themselves, carving out lives for themselves. And this broadcast serves not just them, but women like this all over the world that are entrepreneurs, working, maybe not entrepreneurs, but just working every day, trying to build a life, right? And dealing with the stresses and trying to balance self-care. So to be in this space and speak particularly to these women, and to be able to have somebody on this show that is a member of the organization is exceedingly gratifying. So I do want to welcome you, Princess Akeema Bichali, to the show. So I want to, the audience loving up on you. Look at that. All right. So Princess Akeema Bichali is a certified holistic nutritionist, a certified reflexologist, certified aqua chi ionic foot detox practitioner, as well as a certified yoga teacher with a specialization in therapeutic yoga that she often uses to teach her clients how to infuse movement and meditation in their lives to reduce chronic pain and stress, right? Chronic pain and stress. So I know we're gonna dive a little bit more deeply into that conversation as the night continues. And finally, Miss Kimberly Rossi, welcome to the show. We are meeting for the first time today, but I have read so much about you and the work that you do, and I'm delighted that you're part of this conversation, that you made time to be a part of this conversation. So I am going to read a little bit about Ms. Rossi. Kimberly Rossi has studied with many renowned, and I cannot pronounce this word. I have tried. I looked at it phonetically, and it still stumped me. So you're gonna jump in and help me with it.
Ayurveda. Ayurveda is the oldest natural healthcare system on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you. Ayurveda, Doctors of the West, has a deep practice and is a teacher of the Vedic science, Ayurveda, yoga,
Pranayama.
Pranayama. I did practice it. Pranayama And meditation for over 25 years. You don't look like you could have been practicing anything for over 25 years, but we're gonna go with that. She specializes in natural weight balancing and women's health, aging naturally and gracefully into menopause and beyond. There is life after menopause, right? Yes.
Definitely, it's the second spring.
I have to write that down. The second spring. Her passion is sharing the teachings, making things practical and easy to follow, using discipline as a practice of self love, and empowering people to make positive lifestyle changes as our natural state of being is happy, healthy, and whole. I
Mhm.
love, I love that last part, discipline. Discipline as a form of self-love. That is, that's something I think that we can lean into tonight, right, in this
Mhm.
conversation. So, ladies, I've done the introduction for everybody, and I think that what I want to do is talk about these three things separately. And if I could get your take, because people, we throw around these words. We throw around the word stress, we throw around the word self-care, we throw around the word self-love, we throw around the word success. And it means something to everybody. And this means something different to everybody. And so before we can, I think we start talking about it, we need to have like a starting point of what we're talking about in terms of definition. And I'm just going to throw my hat in the ring and just start off with when I think about self care, I thought about it. And I hear that phrase so much that the word that bubbled up for me was the word protection. And that self care is a way that we protect ourselves. And um, and it's physically, emotionally, intellectually, so many different ways. And I'd just like to get everybody's take on what their definition of self care might be. DeBora, let's start with you.
So I have many definitions, or I should say, the first thing that comes to mind is prioritizing peace. When I think about self care, I think about setting boundaries that honor what I value, honor my time, and honors who I am and how I'm choosing to use my life. And so I think also about tending to yourself, like really tending to yourself, tending to your home, tending to your body, tending to your emotions, to yourself spiritually and physically, in all the ways that we want to be tended to by others, to do it yourself, to take 100% responsibility for yourself. And in all the ways that you want to experience abundance and joy and peace, you do that. You ensure that you have all of your needs met. It's not for anyone else to ensure that.
So,
And
so a question for you. So, if we take the stance that we're responsible for our own self care and tending to our own needs, does that line of thinking relieve us of the weight of feeling like we have to be responsible for the needs and care so much for others in such a way that it's a burden?
absolutely,
Release us from that.
absolutely. I remember when I used to try to quote unquote save my siblings, save other people. And one day I had this awakening that the same spirit, the same source that takes care of me will take care of them.
Yes.
And so I can't say that I have changed or transformed 100% when it comes to people, but for the most part, I can stop myself
Mhm.
and I stopped feeling like it's my job to rescue someone or even to make someone happy. It's not my job to make other people happy. It's
Mhm.
my job to make me happy, to bring me peace. It's my job. And when I do a good job of that, then I relieve other people from
Ah,
having to do that for
yes,
me.
yes,
It just it transforms. It has transformed my life.
yes. The shift in thinking.
Yes, the shift that if I'm not happy, if I'm not well, if I'm not whole, if I'm not wealthy or abundant, it's up to me. It's
Yeah,
up to me.
yeah.
And so for other people, I'm learning how to pull back because it's actually disrespectful for me to think that I know what's best for others.
Mm-hmm.
It's really disrespectful. Now I'm learning to ask people, can I can I say this to you? Can I ask you this when I remember? Because the teacher in me, I'm a teacher,
Right,
the teacher in me is always but yeah, self-care and as someone who's written a book about food and food stories, and my shameless plug, I was one of the editors. um, Eating well, like cooking as a way of loving yourself.
mm-hmm.
Like I have learned to love to cook because I feel like I'm taking so good care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I put in the food. When I go to restaurants, I don't know what they put in the food.
Yeah, it's
And so, yeah, self-care is all of the ways that we want to be well and whole. We take on that responsibility and joyfully.
yes, yes. And Marita, all the ways that DeBora was talking about how we care for ourselves. One of the things that I love about your book, The New Black Woman, is that you get very specific about what that looks like, what those steps look like in terms of self-care. And if you could, give us your definition and just touch on the steps that you feel like are so important for us to embrace as we walk down this road of self-care.
Yeah, well, I think all of us are going to have individual definitions, which is great because we'll end up with a kind of a kaleidoscope of wisdom, each of us speaking from our own experiences. And the most important words in the subtitle of The New Black Woman are heals every day. And I like when Kimberly said that discipline was so important. Discipline was self love, discipline is self care. And healing every day is to me meaning that you have practices. And the reason it's called a practice is because you're practicing, you're trying to perfect it. And these are, in my case, I wake up and I meditate. I do prayers and affirmations. I then engage my body in Qigong or Pilates or cardio. And in the middle of the day, I'll either take a nap and meditate or meditate. And I engage also in silence. So I start the book actually talking about silence and the importance of being silent as a way of healing ourselves, replenishing ourselves, nurturing ourselves, and how over the years I've developed a very intense relationship with my inner Marita through silence. Certain wisdom has come to me through therapy, but much wisdom and much problem solving has come to me through being silent
Mm-hmm.
and listening to my inner Marita. So I think to me, self care is about sustaining yourself, repairing yourself, and every day creating yourself anew.
Marita, I love this notion of getting silent, right? And how silence heals us. And what I have found, in my own life is that I have found that silence inspires me. And I think about when I started my journey and I started walking. And now when I walk, I just walk and I walk with my thoughts. But when I first started walking, I couldn't do that. I had to talk to somebody on the phone. I had to listen to music. I had to listen to motivational tapes. I had to do everything but go inside my own head to be able to do that work. And it's whatever gets you. Whatever. I'm not, and there's nothing wrong with doing those things. Motivation tapes, talking to your friend, any of that. But it distracted me from my own thoughts. But learning how to walk and learning how to walk with my thoughts has been transformational in my life. This very simple thing of the silence of doing that has made all the difference. So I think you're right on target with that being a powerful practice.
Yeah, yeah. And people think that you have to go to a mountaintop or go on a retreat. You just be silent, and we have forgotten how to be silent. And it's an ancient tradition in all the religious traditions. But our lives are such that we have literally forgotten the beauty of it. We've forgotten how to do it. So I think I'm just really excited to be part of conversations with you and these other women about this topic. This is very revolutionary what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the midst of a very important moment. And I think that it's so perfect that this moment of revolution in terms of how we think about our bodies is coming as there is a war on our bodies.
Yes.
And that's perfect as it should be. So,
yeah. And this self-care is revolutionary, and self-care is also defiant. Self-care is defiant. In just saying, I am not taking all, I am not going to continue with the way that things have always been. This is not for me. I reject it. So it's standing, as DeBora, I've heard you say so many times, it's standing in your power, right? To say, I am going to use the discipline that I haven't used before to take care of myself and put my needs first. But when you put yourself first, it allows you to do what the thing that you want to do, which is serve. So thank you, Marita.
Yeah, and we're talking about a lifelong journey. I mean, all of us who are here tonight have been engaged in this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And we practice it and perfect it every day. So it's not, people listening to this shouldn't think that after this program, they're going to go over the weekend. They're going to start on the weekend and keep doing it every day. And that's the beauty of it. I got all tied up in something the other day, got an email, and then I got kind of mad with somebody. And I said, wait a minute. Oh, you got distracted. That's what happened.
Yes.
You got distracted, and that's why you went crazy. So forget about it. Everything's fine. But when you have that ability to hear yourself, you can correct yourself.
Mm-hmm. Hear yourself, correct yourself. That's important. And even in the silence, part of, I think, the challenge with the silence for so long is that we haven't been in a place where we valued our voices. And in the silence, what are we going to hear? Right? So we have to get to this place where we're prepared to listen to and hear whatever comes up and deal with that. That's the purpose of the silence, to elevate us in our thinking. Dr. Dyson, yes, it's your turn. I'm dying to hear what you have to say about self-care and what that means, especially from the perspective of a physician.
Well, like Marita, I am a long-time meditator, and October 27th, I will be celebrating 50 years of practicing transcendental meditation.
Me too.
So I have been practicing silence for a very long time.
Yeah.
Very familiar with pranayama, which Kimberly talked about, and yoga. And I've done all those things throughout my career, throughout college, throughout medical school, residency, having babies. I've always meditated. So I'm definitely rooted in this. I understand that from a health standpoint, from the of the body, I think I see nutrition probably differently from most people. Most people think that we can just quote unquote eat right, whatever that means, and that's something different. Different. It could mean being a vegan, it could be a pescatarian, or any myriad of other things. Vegetarianism, lacto ovo, call it. But what I'm finding in my practice, people who think they're eating correctly and may also take a handfuls of vitamins may still have deficiencies. And I've been looking at that through what's called micronutrient testing, looks at the vitamins and minerals within cells, not what's floating around in the blood. When you go to a conventional MD, draw your blood, they might tell you it's normal, your vitamins are fine, but what's floating around in your blood, it's not what's in your cells. And the reason that we're having issues with vitamin deficiencies is because our soil is depleted of vitamins and minerals. Over time, it's been getting worse. And this affects our mental state because we need brain chemicals, which we get from our food, in order to feel good, be calm, and be peaceful. So everything is connected. Sleep to me is also a number one on our list, and we need to be between 10 p.m. and 2, and that's how the immune system gets turned on. If we don't sleep during those hours, our immune system doesn't kick in, and then that's just a whole nother issue and problems. And we should sleep.
Dr. Dyson?
Yeah.
She's
I think we're having problems with your internet or your volume.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there's some static or reverb.
there's a lot of static. Some of
There's
her
a lot of static.
some of her words are being cut off.
All right, so Dr. Dyson, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to recap a little bit of a couple things that you said that resonated with me, and that is how important the sleep is, and that getting enough sleep is critical to our self-care, and that there's more to what we eat than what we think, because of the nutrients that are in the soil that are being depleted, that we're not getting in the food the way that we think that we might be getting. So we have to pay some extra attention to what we eat and what's in what we eat. That's what I'm getting. And Princess Akeema, as Dr. Dyson was talking, I saw you nodding your head on a number of different points, and so I feel like this is a good time to have you jump in.
I co-signed everything everyone before me has said. I think what I'll add to the conversation about self-care is that it's caring for self. So I like to invert those two words, because the term self-care can be pretty cliche, like, oh, well, everyone does this for their self-care. Working in holistic medicine, one of the things that I try to teach my patients is that you need to learn what you need. That's why I was like nodding as Dr. Dyson was talking, because it's not a one size fits all, what my body needs to replenish, or even the thing that could be obstructing my sleep or why I'm having something manifest. Is it from a physical standpoint? Is it from an emotional standpoint? So really learning in self-care that it's about the individual. And I think that is a form of self-care, knowing that I can take the time, I'm worth the time to learn about what it is that I have a need of. And then once I find out what that need is, I give myself that. And if my needs change in a week, in a month, in a year, then I'm willing to pivot to do what I need to do for myself. And that goes back to, I think, something maybe that DeBora, may have said when she was speaking, but self-care, caring for yourself is very, very individualized. And that would be my encouragement for someone, is not just adopt self-care as you see it, played out in society or on social media, but take the time to learn what is feeding you, what is serving you, learn how this vessel and this body works from all the different ways, physically and emotionally. And then once you discover that, then just dive all the way in.
Oh, I love that. learn this vessel, learning about this vessel, and it's like Marita says, it's discovery, it's healing every day, but it's also discovery every day, because I certainly realize that the things that were meaningful to me and important to me, and the challenges, and even just how I moved through this world, and what I thought is 65 is quite different than different than it was at 25, right? And then right, and so that changes. That absolutely does change. And so as we are continuing this conversation, Kimberly, Rossi, I'm so excited to have you weigh in on this. I've been waiting for this. So as we talk about self-care, and you think about it, and you think about what the other women have said, and you think about your own life and your own practices, what's your definition, and what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so prioritizing self is not selfishness. So as women, we are mothers, we are daughters, taking care of elders, taking care of families, running businesses. Our energy sets the tone. If we are depleted, if we are depressed, if we are lacking enthusiasm, that is setting the tone in our households, in our communities, in our businesses. So prioritizing self is not selfish. Also, having the discipline, and in some generations, discipline means rigidity, or it doesn't have such a beautiful tone. And so when I translate it to self-love, what I mean by this is having enough discipline to do the things that I know are going to make me feel happy, healthy, and whole. Waking up at 5 a.m. for a workout, sitting to take a meditation, cooking nourishing meals, going to bed at a reasonable hour. This is things that we know, every one of us, that we know if we did regularly, we would feel better. And on the flip side of that, abstaining from the things that drain our life force energy. We know that they don't make us feel good, but we do them anyway. So having the discipline, the self-love to not do these things is self-care. Yeah, so I think that summarizes it.
So Kimberly, a quick question. So what do you say? What do you say to the woman that says, "Oh, I don't have time. I have a husband, I have a kid, I have kids, I have a bunch of kids, I have a job, I got the church, I got my, I have too much to do. I don't have meditation. I don't have time for that."
Yeah,
I'm right.
yeah, it's a very real thing. Taking 20 minutes out of your day to either set the tone of the day, in the beginning of the day or in the middle of the day, to take up a 20-minute pause, or a 20-minute pause before clearing oneself before entering sleep, or moving your body for 20 minutes in a way that's joyful, whether it's yoga, Pilates, or dancing in the kitchen. 20 minutes is enough to reset, rejuvenate, and everyone can find 20 minutes. Everyone can wake up 20 minutes earlier, or pause for 20 minutes in a day. It doesn't need to be hours, although hours are wonderful. But it's starting small and reasonable. Usually, when we try to embark on a new journey of health and well-being habits, we want to do a sweeping change of a lot of things all at the same time. Start small. Start with one one tiny thing and do it every single day, as that becomes part of the routine and not something you have to do, it becomes something you enjoy doing because it's refueling, reigniting. Then it becomes part of the routine as everything else is, and then we start to incorporate other things. So start really small, start really simple, and it becomes a little simpler over time. Yeah.
Start small. Start with one thing. And so,
So, Michelle,
as Kimberly,
so one of the things that I like to speak to is when we start something new, something that's going to nourish us, a self-care practice, and you've not been doing it, you might meet with a lot of resistance. Resistance comes when we're trying to make a change, right? And when we're trying to do something, when we want to do something different, but resistance, as someone who's written a few books and helped people write books, I know that whenever we're up to something new and big for ourselves, you know, you may have heard of the book that let me not get it wrong. It's not The Art of War, but The War of Art. The War of Art, the author talks about resistance whenever you're about to do something new. Just expect it. So sometimes just start. You may not even be feeling like that you're loving yourself. Like for myself, I know that I was thinking about this topic a lot since you invited me to be a part of this panel. It's like the more I nurture myself and love myself, the more I nurture myself and love myself. But the more I look outside of myself for the good feelings that I'm trying to achieve, and that, because we all want to feel good, but the more I do that, the more I do that. It's interesting. So like now I'm in a space, I'm just like, I do more meditation, I do more chakra work, I do more of that. And I love doing it. I went walking, I go to the beach. I love it. The more I do it, the more I love it. But if you're new, if you're starting out new, know that you may not love it when you first start.
that you're absolutely right. That when I think about when I started taking tennis lessons, when I started playing tennis, and I spent so much time running after the ball. I was never hitting the ball, right? Thank God the coach was cute, because I don't know that I would have ever gone back. you got to have some kind of incentive. But now that I have been playing for 20 years and I got past that ugly part, I got past the hard part, I got past the messy part. You're learning anything new, you do have that period of where an adjustment, where you feel frustrated and you feel like I will never learn this. It's like babies. You've probably heard me do this example before. It's like babies. When babies are learning to walk, they look up and they just see the walking people, and they don't even have a word for what it is, but they know this crawling thing is not the thing they want to walk. Right. And so they get up and they keep trying. It never occurs to a baby, not once, that they won't walk. And when they walk and they try and they're a little unsteady, and the first time they fall, you might watch them. I don't have any kids, but I watch kids all the time. They fall and they cry. They cry a little because they're a little bit shocked. But once they fall and they realize it doesn't hurt that bad, they get up and they go right back to trying again. And they keep trying. And here's the thing about it. Once they learn how to walk, they never go back to crawling. And that is about anything that we learn that's new. Once we're transformed, it's like a caterpillar can't go back to being a butterfly. I mean, a butterfly, yeah.
I can't go
back to being a caterpillar.
Right. I think also
being a caterpillar because it's transformed.
Yeah.
And so that is how it is when we move into this understanding of what self-care means and what we deserve and how we deserve to live and how we deserve to feel. But Marita, I want you to talk to us about that deserving space.
Yeah, because I think, yeah, when women say, I don't have time, what they say, I don't have time for me. I mean, there's plenty of time for everybody else, but you're asking me to take time for me, and I don't do that because I'm not in a space where I believe I deserve it or I see the significance of it. And I think that in a follow-up to what DeBora was saying, about resistance is part of progress. Resistance is a natural part. Once you click the progress button, the resistance button clicks into. And I think that finding community is so important. People often feel that they have to do this thing alone. I have sister circles all over my life. A group of women writers, a group of women I hike with, a group of women I Zoom with, a group of this, they keep me sane. And I think community is out there and you can find community. And very often we will have women in our lives who are doing the things we want to do. And it never occurs to us to ask them how they do it. So I think that expect resistance and find community. We're always on the internet. Okay, go on the internet and find women, Black women who meditate, Black women who walk, everything. Find community, and it will enrich you. It will give you strength for the journey.
Thank you so much.
I want to entertain the idea that doing something like meditation can also be so profound and so sweet the first time that you continue to do it forever. There's not always resistance to something new and something that's good. For me, the first time I did it, that was it. I was hooked. It's been something I want to do for 50 years nearly. So not always. Sometimes we have resistance, not always.
And
Michelle,
right, how about now? Dr. Dyson, not to ask you this question, and DeBora, I may come back to you with it as well because of the work that we did a couple of weeks ago. Is it what do you see are the biggest barriers for women as they explore this self-care space? Have you given any thought to that? Dr. Dyson?
Who you asking?
I'm sorry?
I was asking you what do you feel are the biggest barriers? What's the biggest barriers women face as they explore this self-care space?
It's a combination of things. Do it, make the time to do it, and as Kimberly said, discipline. Mm-hmm. I had a patient that came today, and of all my patients, he is the most balanced in terms of seeking both health and wealth. And that's because he is very disciplined. He's very disciplined about exercise. He's very disciplined about getting sleep. He has a sleep app so that he can sleep enough. He has an app for drinking water. We do all his investigation on top of his vitamins and supplements. And he's 65 and he looks 45. So discipline is making it a priority in your life. And I find as you get older, and I'm 68, I'll be 69 on my birthday. But as you get older, maintaining balance is more, how would I say, challenging than when I was young.
Right.
So then that requires discipline. It's almost a full-time job. So you don't really have to, if you fully take care of it.
Okay. All right. So thank you for that, Dr. Dyson. I appreciate you mentioning balance and how important balance is, because that's, that's the state for that. That's a place we aspire to that. We aspire to that. But as I'm looking at the clock, I see that our hour is moving along. We've got 15 minutes or so left, and we've just talked about self-care. We haven't even gotten to stress, and nor have we gotten to the audience. And so what I'm thinking is that I'd like to just continue with the self-care conversation, and y'all just might have to come back for stress another time. We might have to do that another time. And
We can put stress off anytime.
so what I do want to address and find out if there are any questions from the audience members, that anything that you'd like to discuss, any question, anything that's on your mind, because there's so much that we've talked about tonight. Now is your moment. This is your moment in the sun. Audience, anybody have a question? Oh, I see. Okay.
I have a question for Kimberly Rossi.
Can you hear, Kimberly? Could you hear that there's a question for you?
No, could you repeat, please?
You practice Ayurvedic medicine.
Yes.
I understand that it's a natural product that's very good for energy building. And I never can say it correctly, but I think it's
Ashwagandha.
ashwagandha.
Yeah. And you're talking for more energy?
Yes.
Okay. So we're always looking, generally speaking, we're looking for, the answer, in a tablet or a pill form. So yes, at certain times for certain people with certain constitutions, ashwagandha could increase energy. Things that I would ask first is, are you going to bed by 10 p.m.? Sleeping between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. are the most important hours for sleep. It's where your central nervous system is healing and repairing, the adrenals are resetting, and the organs are repleting. Second question, are you rising 15 minutes before sunrise? We have more energy throughout the day if we rise 15 minutes before the sun than if we rise after. I would also ask, are you eating 3 meals a day? Are you eating your main meal at lunch? Are you eating a light supper and perhaps not eating anything from supper to breakfast? So while herbs and supplements and vitamins and minerals all enhance what we need, as Dr. Dyson said, we can be doing so much by merging our daily cycle with nature to be radiant beauty, vibrant health, flawless form and function, and eternally youthful. So yes, ashwagandha is a wonderful supplement, but those are questions I would ask you in addition to many others before recommending that particular herb.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a question? Okay, we have another question.
Okay, first of all, I thank you for this space, and my props to the panelists, and just wanted to say hello to Ms. Golden, because I go way back in terms of I am the parent of 2 adult sons, and understanding about raising Black boys. That touched my heart when I read your book, because I can relate to it so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So it's a pleasure to listen to you this evening. My question is for DeBora, because you mentioned taking responsibility. One of the things that we have as human beings, as women, is we want to take care of our children. We feel that we are saving the world. Can you speak more to the essence of taking responsibility for our own lives, for our own selves? Because society and the pressures so much tells us that you have to do this, this, and this. So we are met with resistance when we come to ourselves. So can you speak to the mind shift that as women we need to take into consideration?
So I think Marita spoke to it when she said, we don't feel deserving. It was Buddha that said it thousands of years ago that we are deserving of our own love and attention, our own affection. Buddha said this. so if we, that's why someone used the word practice, and I use it a lot because I see everything as a practice. You practice loving yourself more. You start with the small things, the things you're not doing. And the more you do it, the more you do it, the more you desire to do it. And Michelle, you talked about this in your book. You talked about desire actually trumps discipline.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Because with desire,
You have
you
this.
will cultivate the discipline.
Right. Right.
So without desire to take care of yourself, then you can never get to the discipline part. And if you do, it feels like a struggle. It feels like work when it doesn't have to.
Yes.
So I say, my daughter's 28. I had her, I was 37. And she spoke about it on Saturday, Michelle. Remember, when she was a little girl, because I was 37 when I had her, so I'd already established some things. I started meditating when I was 28. And so when she would come knock on the door, and she's the only child, and she would peep in, and she'd say, "You meditating?" And if I said yes, she would shut the door and go on do whatever little girls do, right? That's because now, because she saw me prioritizing myself.
Right.
My daughter now, she has no problems being alone. She has no problem traveling the world by herself. She has no problems doing those things because she saw an example. So what we do actually is we serve our children, our men, our sister friends. We actually are blessing them by showing them an example of what self-love looks like.
Yes.
And so it may start off, and I know Dr. Dyson, you said everything is not about resistance, but I know that resistance is a huge part of making a big change, because you may not only have the resistance within yourself, but you will have resistance outside.
Yes.
Other people. All of a sudden it's like,
yes.
Wait a minute, we're not eating meat no more?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. And so to deal with that, I happen to be, I live alone. I don't have anyone that's going to tell me that they don't like what I'm doing. But if you have people around you, then you have to deal with that. So yeah, but that's why I say unapologetically, like, even if you start off apologizing, there come a time when you're just like, yeah,
Whatever.
I'm going for a walk this morning.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll be back. Don't wait up, whatever. So it's a practice. Everything is a practice. I love the word practice because you don't feel like you have to perfect it ever.
Right. Yes.
Just do it. Just do it. And know that you can never get it wrong. If you are prioritizing yourself, I love that word deserving. Black women, a lot of us just don't feel deserving of pouring that love into ourselves. And I can speak to that because there are times I remember going to a family reunion and I had the cutest little dress I wanted to put on, and I had some other little whatever. And I was like, I didn't want other women to feel kind of funny because I'm looking all fly and everything. And my daughter said, Mom, wear the dress. Put the dress on.
Yeah.
But haven't you seen yourself shrink, play small, because you didn't want other people to feel some kind of way? So active self-love is to say, I'm not responsible for them. I'm not going to do anything to hurt them. But this is about, who said it? Self-preservation and selfish,
Audrey Lord.
self-love is not selfish. And
Mhm.
I was the one in my family that everybody said was selfish because I pursued my dreams when I was in my 20s. So I didn't even know I was being selfish. I just thought you're supposed to go after your dreams, right? You know what I'm saying? Did you think, I mean, when you went after your dreams, that you think you were being selfish? Probably not. But other people perceive it because Black women have been, as Zora Neale Hurston says, we were supposed to be the what? Hold up half the sky or 75% of the sky, actually.
So DeBora, let me share this with you about what you said about shrinking. You're like shrinking back, and what and what permissions we feel about showing up. One of the exercises that I have, the women in my group do, we're doing group work, is I have them for a week tell at least 10 other people how fabulous they are. It can be
Mhm.
people that they see on the street. It can be some friends that you haven't talked to in a long time. Is it when you start to honor the fabulousness in
Mhm.
other people, it creates some language for you to open it up for yourself, right?
Mhm.
It allows you to open it up for yourself, and then for them and then for it to be reflected, right? So you
Mhm.
just, I mean, just flirt with people for the fun of it,
I
and watch
love that.
watch their faces light up, right? Girl, you sure are wearing that hat today. I mean,
Yeah.
damn right. And so what happens is you start to feel good and the other person starts to feel good too. And we create this circle of permission of lifting each other
Mhm.
up. Just just by our words, we do that. Just
Mhm.
by just by honoring
That.
honoring ourselves. I mean, at the end of the day, the way I see it is this self-care, this self-love thing is all about us making self-honoring choices.
Mhm.
Self-honoring choices about how we want to move through this world, how we want to look, how we
Mhm.
want to feel, what kind of relationships we want to have, what we want in our mind, how we want to be emotionally, spiritually. All of that is honor. It's honoring the
Mhm.
space, the space that we reside in. So
Yeah.
thank
Beautiful.
thank you for that. Man, almost 8 o'clock. I can't believe it. Is anybody else? Let's have a question. I want to make sure that anybody that has a question or a comment, anything that's on your mind, right? Because we're here, we want to honor our voices. Because so many times our voices don't get honored, and this is a space for that to happen. No, we're good. All right, we're good. We're gonna continue on. We're gonna wrap up. So, as we close out, everybody, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for taking this time to join us here on Get the Backstory, for giving us the backstory, because there's so much more to how we
Mhm.
look at the world and what we see. Thank you on behalf of the third and the women of the third. I hope you all come back. I want to spend more time with all of you. All of you. I want to spend more time with you. But I do appreciate it, and I look forward to us continuing the conversation, and certainly supporting you all in any way I can in the work that you do. So, on behalf of Get the Backstory, thank you, DeBora. Thank you, Marita.
Thank you.
Dr. Dyson. Thank you, Princess
Thank you.
Akeema, Kimberly. And the audience. The audience, yes. Thank you, the audience. So good night, and
Thank you, Michelle.
we'll see you. We'll see you next week. We'll see you not next week, next month. Next month on August the 15th, we'll be back with Get the Backstory Live. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Get the Backstory Live here at the Third. We appreciate you. I appreciate you. Be sure and save the date now for next month. That's the third Tuesday in August. That's August 15th. We'll be bringing you the backstory on a serious condition that impacts more than 75% of African American women. So stay close and stay connected. To join my mailing list and stay in the know, just scan the QR code on the screen. Yes, I'm social. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, connect with me on LinkedIn, and subscribe to my YouTube channel at I Am Brand New Now. And if your organization or an organization you know of is looking for a speaker, workshop facilitator, panelist, or host, reach out to me at michellepettiesspeaks.com. I got you. If you would like to read how I finally won my 40-year battle with obesity, exactly how I overcame stress eating, emotional overeating, and yo-yo dieting, reach out to me at michellepettiess.com, and I will personally send you a signed copy of my book, Leaving Large, The Stories of a Food Addict. I will even cover the shipping. Finally, I want to let you know that next week I am hosting a free webinar for you because I know you. Professionally, you're always at the top of your game. But when it comes to managing your weight, that is and always has been another story entirely. I created this free webinar, Fit for More Than Success, just for you. In it, you will learn how to change that story. To attend, just email me at michelle@michellepettiess.com and you can be in the room. I would like to thank my awesome sisters at the Third for all that they do. And next month, if you happen to be in the DMV, it would be such an honor to have you join us as a member of the Get the Backstory Live audience. It's all love, y'all. See you next month. If not,